If you feel like other people see more opportunities than you do, if you have been trying self-improvement for a while but nothing seems to change, you think you're turning over a new leaf this time, but it's the same old leaf over and over and over again, or if you feel like something is holding you back or holding your life in place, but you're not sure what it is. If so, you and I have some things in common with some inmates and some wild fervent monkeys. It's pretty cool. All right, let's see what you think about this. I found an interesting study that's going to help us understand why we can't see or recognize opportunities that are in front of us and all around us, but other people can? What's with that? I also found in the same study why change is hard, why we keep trying to change and do self-improvement, but we keep ending up back where we were, nothing changing. Researchers put 2 containers of corn and 4 groups of wild fervent monkeys. Now, one of the containers contained corn that dyed pink, and the other container had corn that was dyed blue. In 2 of the groups, the pink corn was made to taste bitter. In the other 2 groups, the blue corn was made to taste bitter. After a number of months, the monkeys pretty much learned to completely ignore the color corn that was bitter for their group. Then researchers removed the containers from all 4 groups. Months later, all 4 groups had infants old enough to eat solid food. Then the researchers returned the containers of pink and blue corn to all 4 groups. However, this time, none of the corn was made bitter tasting. Both the pink corn and the blue corn was equally edible in all 4 groups. And the first thing the researchers noticed was that monkeys only followed their original programming and ate the same color corn they ate months ago, again, completely ignoring the other color corn. The second interesting thing they noticed was about the infants' programming. Now remember, the infants had never seen any containers of corn before, not pink or blue, bitter or whatever. This was all completely new to them. They could eat whatever they wanted. But the interesting thing is the infants only ate the color corn the rest of the group ate. The infants even walked across and sat on perfectly good food opportunities to get to the color corn that the group approved of. You know the nursery rhyme, monkey see, monkey do, I see a monkey just like you? Well, in that picture, that little monkey, that's me and you, sitting on opportunity that we don't recognize to get to the opportunity that our group approves of. It's the same for everyone. Our deep programming is involuntary, automatic, and happens so slowly that nobody ever notices. When you got up this morning and looked at the mirror, did you notice your hair was longer than when you went to bed? I didn't. If you don't have hair, look at your fingernails. Did you notice that they're longer today than they were yesterday? I didn't notice that either. Nobody can detect these kind of micro changes. It's the same thing after we spend time with our inner circle of friends and other influences. Automatic and involuntary changes happen when we're in our group that we're not able to detect. The programming input from our social circle of friends and other influences will hold us in place, move us up to the direction we want to go, or slowly pull us down to the direction we don't want to go. So if you're in a happy place or in a group pulling you up, this is a good thing. However, if you're not in a happy place and your group is holding you there, or worse, pulling you down, then that's another story. Here's a quick example. I was on a lunch break working with a group of inmates, and they were discussing amongst themselves why they keep returning to prison. One of the inmates summed it up well when he said, while he's in prison, he kicks all his drug habits. He also learned a couple of trades that he likes and he's good at, so he can get a job when he gets out. He feels like he's a new person, he has new skills, he's turned over a new leaf, and it's going to be different this time. But then he gets out, goes back to his old group, and they welcome him home, they're happy to see him, and he says they drop a bag of dope in one hand and a gun in the other. Yay. And he ends his story with, and you guys know the rest of the story. And the rest of the inmates are just slowly nodding their head. What happened was, he went back to the group that's eating the colored corn that gets you back in prison, not the opportunities that can launch you into his new trades and his other things. You see, it doesn't matter how many self-improvement books we read or conferences we go to, or even if you're working with a mentor. If we keep returning to the same social circle of programmers, meaning friends, social media, movies, music, all the things that got you where you are, you're going to stay where you are. We'll be the same as that inmate when he returned home to his group where his friends gave him a bag of dope and a gun. The difference is when we get back to our group, we won't see the bag of dope and the gun. It'll be in subtle ways and that are completely imperceptible. Remember, like the hair in your fingernails? After you leave the group, you'll be a little bit adjusted every time. Okay, so our deep programming controls the opportunities we can see and the opportunities we can't see. Before we look at how to hack our programming to reveal opportunities we can't see right now, let's look at how this social programming happens in the first place. You know those agreements that everyone just clicks yes to but nobody reads? It's like that. So you sit down in a restaurant and you tell the waiter, I'll take an iced tea. Or you hail a cab and you get in the back and tell the driver where you want to go. In both cases, even though you didn't say you would pay, you still have to pay. It's a legally binding agreement to exchange your money for their services. These nonverbal social agreements allow our inner circle to alter our deep programming whenever it wants. Here's another quick example. Do you know that old story about the grandfather talking to the grandchild about the two wolves that are fighting inside? Well, I bet you didn't know the whole story. The original story goes like this. The grandfather says, there are two wolves inside of us that are always at battle. One is the good wolf that represents success and love and kindness and all the good things. The other is a bad wolf, represents fear and anger and hatred. So the grandson stops and thinks for a minute. Then he looks up at his grandfather and says, Grandfather, which one wins? As you probably know, grandfather replies, the one you feed. The problem is you're not the only one feeding your wolves. Your friends and the influences in your inner social circle are going to feed the same wolf in you that they are feeding in them. And again, this is without either of you knowing. We all crowdsource our destiny. Like it or not, our destinies are mixed together. That's where you get the saying, show me your friends, I'll show you your future. So now what? How do we resolve the negative influence of our inner circle? This is where we get to the third thing the researchers noticed with their social experiment with those monkeys. Some adult monkeys were able to change their inner programming and see opportunities they didn't see before. Sometimes an adult fervent monkey would migrate to an entirely different group. If the new group ate a different color corn than the group they came from, they would switch their programming and eat the same color corn their new group was eating. This demonstrates the incredible power of social learning on us. Change like this is awkward at first until it becomes part of our deep programming. The migrating monkey probably moved towards the corn he was used to at first, but then caught himself and then went over to the corn that the local group eats. Eventually, the migrating monkey went to the new corn that the new group ate without even thinking. That's when it has become part of our deep internal programming. If our old group ate the color corn that tastes like, if it weren't for bad luck, I wouldn't have any luck at all, life's a bitch, and then you die. Money doesn't grow on trees. Money is the root of all evil, and the worst one of all, it's not my fault. Purging our inner circle of the negative side of social media, music, movies, books is one thing. But ghosting friends is an entirely different subject. But don't worry, some of this people purging happens naturally. Back when I was single, most of my friends were single. After I got married, most of our friends were married or in a serious relationship. Once we had kids, eventually, most of our friends also had kids. We didn't put any effort into these. We didn't say, now that I'm married, I only want to be with married people. And now that I have kids, I only want to be with people with kids. These kind of things just happen naturally. Let's talk about purging the easy stuff first. The non-human negative influences in your social circle. As you purge all the non-human negative influences in your social circle and replace them with a constant feed of positive programming, your heart and mind will begin to migrate to a new group like the adult fervets did before you actually do. This is because wherever your heart is, you're soon to follow. And if you believe in the stuff you can't see, all that woo-woo stuff like I do, or if you think this is just psychology and personality, it doesn't matter. It works. I like to sum it all up in saying it just changes your frequency or what you're vibrating at. And that controls what you're drawn to and what you repel. Because of this, many negative people will just naturally fade away. And also you have to understand, it takes a lot of positive influences to offset just one negative influence in your social circle. The more people, places, and things in your inner circle that align with the destiny you want, not the destiny you have, the more opportunities will be revealed to you to make that destiny happen. Some people call it manifesting. You will think you have all kinds of new opportunities, but most of them are already there. You just couldn't see them. Before we get to the bonus section, if you're getting value out of my first video, please click like and subscribe. That's really going to help. And I really appreciate some comments below on what you think I can improve on. Thank you. Okay, here's the bonus section. The key takeaway here. Now, it's important to realize controlling your inner circle controls your destiny. It's just one of the ways to hack your programming. The key takeaway here is that you have deep programming and it can be hacked. You see, we were not set in stone when we were born, and now we have to deal with whatever we got dealt. You weren't created when you were born. You're not even created right now. You are always in the process of being created. You just haven't been participating. You know, they like to say the universe is 14 billion years old or whatever. That statement isn't accurate. The universe started creating itself 14 billion years ago. It's still creating itself just as much today, if not more so. It's super important to understand this, because realizing that the universe was not created 14 billion years ago, and you weren't created a few years ago and then plopped down in this already created universe in this set in stone body and mind. No. Both of you are always in the process of moving forward with a new creation. Both you and the universe are being created. You just haven't been participating. The more you participate and realize your deep programming will take you off of the rails that you think you have your destiny set on, you will realize that you're actually on a path. And the more you become aware of your negative thinking and realize you can hack your programming, you can change your destiny. So one of the keys to lasting change is understanding the ghost in our machine. This is critical because it controls the autopilot. And the more we understand it, the more it'll change from our biggest enemy to our biggest ally. And if you think you're still in charge of your brain, you need to watch this next video. Thank you for watching. Please click like and subscribe.